Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Monday Muse. Oh my gosh, I am loving this series. Literally, you guys, this stuff just lights me up. I'm thinking this is our third week in a series of four and for Beautiful Life. So we talked about mini goals and mini rewards and how they kind of motivate you and get you on track moving forward. Then we talked about time and how we all have the same 24 hours in a day, but we also, hi Tammy Marie, we also, some people get so much more done in that 24 hours a day, some people don't get as much done. I know when early on in widowhood for me, I really struggled to literally, and I know that you guys can relate with this, to take a shower, to get myself put together and maybe go to the grocery store. I was just done. So anyway, that's why I really feel like talking about time management, hi Kathy, and talking about things that can help you to start looking forward. Some of you still work out of the home and some of you don't. Those of you that don't, without that structure and that regular schedule that can keep you moving forward, we can really fall into a pretty bad slump. Then there's the ones that work outside of the home and they have a job and they either love it or hate it. That's kind of irrelevant because sometimes that's all that we do. We'll go to work, we come home, and we just veg on the couch and we feel anxious and fearful and scared. And so that's why I felt like if we talked a little bit about time management and how to block pieces of time so that you can get more done, how to designate time to complete a project, whether it's something big and it needs to be done in 6 months, or it's something small and it needs to be done by the weekend, whatever it is. Just figuring out how many blocks of time and how many sessions of what I call Pomodoros. It's a method certainly not unique to me, but it's one that I use and it's one that works. And when I started doing that, I realized I was getting so much more done, and that's what I was desperate to have happen. Hi, Sandra. So today, that was a recap of the last couple of weeks. As I said, in our third part today is why keeping your word to yourself is so important. And it's something that you can do for yourself. Nobody else can do it. And here's why, you guys. We have this little girl that lives inside of us. She's been with us from even before we were born. She was in the womb with us. And what that is our subconscious. I like to call her a little girl because she is oftentimes like a scared little bunny rabbit that just doesn't know what to do and who to trust or what to say and think and blah, blah, blah. And so when we talk about the subconscious, you know, I'd like to think that I'm in control in my life, and there are plenty of decisions that I need to make and I can make to help me control my life. But there's also times where I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I sabotage myself. I get triggered, or something sparks a memory in me, and I misperceive a situation, or I act out in a certain way. So that's when I know my subconscious, my little girl inside of me, I like to call her Gwendolyn, is, she's running the show. And she does. She knows what went on from the very moment you were conceived. And about a year ago, I went through a 16-week course. And it was hypnosis. It was EFT tapping, which is emotional freedom tapping. And if you haven't heard of that, it's so cool. One of these days I'll do some live tapping in our group so we can work through some things. But it's a scientifically proven technique to help release trapped emotions and to help you be able to move forward. And anyway, what else? It also had energy clearing, which I kind of still don't. I know a little bit about chakras. I don't know if I believe in it or if I don't, but I do believe that if we clear our energy, bring those stuck emotions out and deal with them and face them, that's when we can finally start living a life that we want. So that was part of it. And then the last part was visualization therapy. So similar to hypnosis, but just being very conscious of what's going on and kind of envisioning what happened, what's causing certain triggers, what I'm going back and remembering and how I would like to have addressed it, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, that was a 16-week course, and I learned a lot about my little girl inside of me. and how she and I can get along. I also like to call her my intuition. And I'll tell you what, ladies, I bet you can relate to this too. I always say, if I listen to my intuition, she serves me well. And if I don't, she kicks my ass. I mean, it's just the way it is. So when we have that quickening of our heart and something happens, we need to pay attention to it. That's our intuition. That's that little girl inside of us saying, oh my gosh, what's going on? Stop or go, whatever. So what happened when I went through that course is it took me back to when I was a child. I realized a few different things. Why I was OCD at 5 years old, and I had a tantrum in my grandmother's living room floor, and I said, this place is absolutely filthy, 5 years old. And she says, well, get up and clean it. And I did. I had to have that organization. I couldn't function in chaos, and I'm still that way. If my space is cluttered and disorganized, I short circuit. I can't do it. And, you know, I think that organization and having a sense of control and a handle on things, it just gives us that nice cadence in life that we need to have peace, to feel a sense of accomplishment. So I was OCD, I wrote it down, codependent at 5 years old. I would get up and I would start making breakfast for the whole household. I was the baby of 4 kids, and I wanted them all to get up, and I wanted them to pay attention to me, and I wanted to make sure that they had a good start to their day and that they were happy and all of these things. And it all stems back from when I was even a smaller child and feeling kind of out of control. My parents moved from Los Angeles up to a high desert, a really super small town, and just things were, you know, lots of change and everything. And in today's society, we all have so much change, and there's things that our children are facing and our babies are facing, and they don't have the coping skills, and I sure as heck didn't either. So that kind of got me on a path of OCD and codependency and needing to control everything, and that, you guys, does not and will not ever serve us. Okay. So when you consider your little inner little girl, what do you think of? What comes to mind? Just kind of take a second and picture what you envision. Is she happy? Is she scared? What messages were you fed by your parents and your siblings and your teachers and bullies and friends and foes and all of the things? What reel of sound and events has been playing into that little girl? And so think about that, and anyone else that was influential. Maybe it was a priest or a pastor or somebody that, you know, influenced you in a good way, or somebody that hurt your feelings. A lot of us can go back to a time where our feelings were hurt. Honestly, I don't think my feelings were hurt, but it's kind of funny. When I was about 9 years old, I was with my girlfriend, and we lived in a small town, and we'd get a 5-gallon bucket, and we'd go collect horny toads and lizards. And whoever had the most at the end of the time won, whatever, just the bragging rights. And we were on somebody's property, apparently. We grew up in the middle of nowhere. It was kind of cool. And this old lady, she yelled to my friend, she said, you get out of here and take that boy with you, because I was such a tomboy and probably pretty homely, I think. But I don't know. I never forgot it. It must have really made an impression on me. So the subconscious is like this huge memory bank that stores and files. If you're old enough to remember what a microfiche is, it's all these files that are in our mind, and at any given moment, we're subject to being triggered. We're subject to having something happen that calls upon a time, and we're instantly thrown back there, and it can be traumatizing. And so that is why, you know, our little girl goes around at times being shy, being scared, feeling funny, feeling uncomfortable. And when she gets uncomfortable and scared, that's when the self-sabotage comes out. And that's when we realize that something's going on. There's still something stuck inside of us. And it's really, truly triggers. Some of you know it. I've talked about this story. It was about 1.5 years ago. A friend of a friend's girlfriend, young girl, I met her one time, literally in passing for 2 minutes. was killed in an accident. And I was so sad. I was literally thrown on the couch for 3 days crying and shaking. And I was embarrassed because I'm not a drama queen. I do not want to be the center of attention at all. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Well, a girlfriend of mine who does energy clearing, and that's who's teaching me a lot about chakras and energy, et cetera, between the two of us, because I got in the shower and I was scared to be in the shower. And that takes me back to when my brother was killed. But even 15 years before that, much further back, 40 years from now, my sister was killed in an accident, and my sister had long straight hair. This girl, Pamela, that died that I didn't know had long straight hair. I was triggered and again thrown in such a state of grief. And that's that subconscious, that's that little girl remembering, what happened and taking me back there 40 years later. And I'll tell you guys something. When my sister was killed, my older sister showed up from out of town to be with us and support us and get support. And my dad said to them when they walked in the door, there will be no crying in this house. And so naturally, none of us grieved. I remember going down the street to my older brother's friends who were like 10 years older than me and drinking Jack Daniels. That's how I grieved. So I didn't. I had all this stuff stuck in me, and I've been working on it. That's why I did that 16-week course that I mentioned, because I knew I had some work I had to do if I wanted to be happy and productive and not have that happen again. I don't want to be like that. I want to help people. I want to help you women that have experienced loss and trauma and death and that want to live their life again. That's my mission in life. That's my calling. That's why I'm here. So anyway, here's the thing, the more that you learn of it and recognize these behaviors, you can catch them a little bit earlier, and you can say, okay, obviously something's not feeling right. I need to do a little bit of work here. You become more self-aware of your emotions, and it really, really will serve you so much better. And then that way you can steer yourself in a way that serves you. And I was just I started going to Al-Anon for a situation that's going on in my life. And I'm new to Al-Anon, but I really, 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 really love these women. And even though I'm a coach, that doesn't mean that I don't need to be supported. I think everybody should be in some kind of a support system. Make sure that we've got, professional support in some fashion. And anyway, it really reminded me how we constantly need to be working on something. We didn't get this way overnight. We didn't wake up one day and, we're one day old or a few hours old, and we have all of that conditioned grief, all of that conditioned living, these things that you hear and think and do, and it triggers you. So you guys might be wondering why it's so important to keep your word to yourself. How is this all going to tie back around? Just hang with me for a second, because I'll get to that. And here's what I know. Here's what I had to learn. Sometimes a situation has to happen to bring a revelation. And that's by Pastor Stephen Furtick. It's a message I was listening to this morning. If you guys have not ever listened to Stephen Furtick on YouTube, he's so good. He puts out such a good sermon. Sorry, the word slipped my mind. Anyway, so then I realized, and I've known this for a while, sometimes it's hard to go tie it back to, you think, okay, I've heard the expression, it's getting used a lot lately. This didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Okay, so that makes sense about certain things. I would never sign up for it. I sure as heck wouldn't sign up for my husband dying so that I could learn this and be a widow's coach, but here I am. So I don't think God brings it to us, but he brings us through it. And if we allow it and we search and we figure out what's going on, hi Sharon, we can, then we can turn around and use it for our good, for other people's good, and for God's glory. So here's what I figured out. Excuse me. I was not honoring what I needed in life. I have been, when Mark died almost 8 years ago, my mom had just died. After my mom died, 3 months later, my son was in some serious trouble and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Then we got him all, I say, safe and tucked away and figured out what he was going to do. And then Mark was diagnosed, and then he died 7 months later. And so it's just one thing after another. And no wonder I was tired and my adrenals were blown. And I I mean, I just remember laying on the couch. I'll never forget this. We got home from the hospice house that evening and laying on the couch and just, I didn't fall asleep. My eyes just were, I was like a deer in the headlights. I was so shell shocked. So what I'd been doing is running and gunning and running and gunning, and I was working nationwide and running big meetings and executive suites that I was just done. And so I realized after Mark died, I was existing on vapors, and I had no choice. My little girl inside of me was like, you are done, girl. You need to sit your butt down and you need to take some time out. And I did. I had no choice, you guys. I had to take care of me. And that's where my self-awareness grew. And that's where I realized I was doing so much for everybody and not anything for me. My little girl was pissed off at me. She's like, you're sitting down. I'm done trying to give you hints, da, 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 da. It's so important to take care of her. It's so important. And that way she'll begin to trust you. You tell her good truths. You feed your mind with good information. And that's why I listen to a sermon every single morning. I'm not all religious, you guys. I'm a biggest cusser, and I'm only human. I don't pretend to be perfect. But I also know that God gives me grace, and I also know that I love hearing his word. So that's what motivates me. Some people want to hear Louise Hay. She more woo-woo, and she, whatever, all about the energy thing. That's cool too. I listen to some of that stuff sometime, but here's what I know. I have to feed myself good information. Whatever can fire me up, whatever can get me motivated, that's what I need to be doing. And once I started doing that, my body ever so slowly started healing. My mind started healing. And I used to work while Mark was sick. I was working between 60 and 75 hours a week. Again, traveling almost every single week back east, which is a huge, long 5-hour flight. Da, 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 da. I was so tired. And so ever so slowly started listening to my body, started healing it, nurturing it. Not because I thought, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. No, I was desperate for answers. I had no choice. So when we tell ourselves, going back to week 1, setting those goals, going back to week 2, time management, getting a little bit of structure, getting some excitement and something to look forward to, and feeling those senses of accomplishment, and giving yourself those mini rewards that we talked about in week 1, that's when our little girl inside of us, our subconscious, starts to say, all right, she is trying. She's doing some things that we need to do. She's listening. She's honoring us. She realizes, this might sound freaky to you, but you guys read anything on the subconscious, that girl is in control. So here's some things. I was thinking about a client that I had, and she really was getting triggered a lot and still crying a lot. 3 years later, very, very sad. And she bought into my 16-week coaching program that I have, and we're working along. And so I have these workbooks similar to this, a little bit more robust, and similar to the ones that I've been giving out during these lives. She's moving along. She's struggling, getting triggered, da 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 da. And I said to her, okay, I'll just call her. What shall I call her? I'll say Lisa, since I don't have a client named Lisa. Lisa, at the end of our session today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to set some homework up for you. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write a letter to your husband, and I want you to talk about all the things why he hurt your feelings, what made you angry, because she had a lot of built up resentment to him. And then when you're done, I said, spend some time on it, write 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. If it gets going, write as much as you want, but really dig deep. What's been bothering you? What do you need to, what do you need to work on? What do you need to clear out? What do you need to let him know that just wasn't right and that hurt your feelings? Do all of that. And when you're done, you may decide you want to burn it. You may decide you want to read it the next day. You may decide you want to rip it up, whatever you want to do. Yep, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Well, lo and behold, the next week, she says, I'm going to do that tonight. The next week, I say, how did the letter writing go? She goes, well, I didn't do it yet, but I'm going to. And her inner little girl is saying, what the hell ever? No, you're not. You say that all the time. You say that you're not going to binge on sugar, and you do. And you say that you're going to exercise, and you don't. How am I supposed to trust you? How am I supposed to help you get ahead in life and move forward in life? So that's kind of that push and pull that's going on inside of you that a lot of times we don't even know what's happening. You know what the thing is, it doesn't, whether she does it or not, it doesn't change my life at all. I do. I want to have a success with my clients. I love helping my clients. Again, it's my calling. But if she chooses not to do it, it doesn't change my course of my life. You guys, we are the ones that are in charge of our lives, not our coach. You know, my clients pay a good price to work with me. And I help them, but I am not responsible for the outcome. They are, you are. You are responsible for the outcome of your life. And so if you are, you know, missing these opportunities to do something to get ahead with yourself, you're only letting yourself down. You're not letting me down, okay? So I just want you to think about that. There's so many things. I wrote out a list, and it'll be in the workbook. Again, agreeing to cut out sugar only to consume even more. I'm guilty of that. I've done that in my life. That does not serve me. Promising to exercise 3 times a week, only to skip it again. So then another week passes, and then she's like, really, seriously, bro, you're gonna do that? You're not gonna do what you say you're gonna do. Numbing too much with alcohol or even drugs, and swearing that you're gonna quit, that behavior is gonna stop, and that yet you do it the next day and the next day and the next day. And pretty soon your body, your subconscious, your mind is all at war within yourself and not helping you to have peace, not helping you to move forward in a healthy way, not helping you to be who you want to be. All of those things. So, you guys, not keeping your word to yourself is completely self-sabotage. It is. And sometimes we're aware of it, other times we're not. That's what this program is about, is raising that self-awareness, raising those desires to help yourself, to find solutions, to figure out what is going on. But the more you don't, the more self-sabotage, the worse your life's gonna get. For those of you that have been in widowhood for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years more, and you're still miserable, honey, that is not on anybody else but you. I'm sorry. You might be sitting there thinking, oh, that's real easy for her to say. She has a business and she's da-da-da-da-da. No. I am in huge crisis right now. I am choosing, because there's nothing I can do about it but pray and do what I am supposed to do, and it's regarding my daughter. What am I gonna do? Sit on the couch and eat bonbons and potato chips? No, I'm running a business. I have to keep my word to myself. I have to keep my word to my clients. My word is my bond, okay? Yours is too. Nobody's gonna hold a gun to my head and say, you better freaking do it. No, I could lay on the couch right now and not do anything. You know who's gonna be let down? Me. My little inner girl, my Gwendolyn. For those of you that join late, that's what I call my little girl inside myself. My subconscious is named Gwendolyn. It's not going to hurt anybody but us. Me, her, it. Okay? So you guys are responsible. You're responsible for how you choose to live out your life. Life is for the living. You're going to hear me say it all the time. I believe that. You do too, if you let yourself. What else? Oh, I think that's about all we have. We're going to kind of go back over in the workbook, and if you want it, let me know. I've got some editing to do, and it's going to come out later in the week. But if you want to do that, we're going to kind of go over what goals were set, how you're doing on them. If you set some goals in week 1 of this series of 4 and you haven't done them, 2 things. Say, okay, I let myself down. I need to level set and start again. Second thing, don't beat yourself up, because what happened yesterday cannot be changed. It can't. All you can do is from this moment forward and go from there. We're going to talk about integrity. What does that even mean? That's your word. I said earlier, my word is my bond. That's what I have. That's what we have in life, you guys. It doesn't matter if we drive fancy cars. It doesn't matter if we have big, gorgeous homes. It doesn't matter if we live in a tent or we don't have a car and we ride the bus. None of that matters. What matters is our word is our bond. And if we can't keep our word to ourselves, how can we keep our word for anybody else? How can we have any reputation in the community and contribute to the world and our lives, right? So think about that. What else? We're going to talk about some things that you can do right now. So I wrote in here to help this paradigm shift in your favor. My challenge to you is this: starting today, right now, become a person who lives up to your word. If you've let yourself down in the past, or you've let other people down, or you're walking around with a boatload of guilt, today's a new day. Today is a new day. Right now is the new day. The next thing, do what you say you're going to do with a cheerful heart. You know, I'm not going to lie, you guys, since I moved to Prescott and this situation with my daughter started and my granddaughter was removed from the home and she's in foster care, I have cried more in these 2.5 months than I have in my entire life. And there are days where I don't want to get up and I don't want to do anything, but I also know that's only going to make it worse. It's only going to make it worse. So I'm happy that I get to do these Facebook Lives. I'm grateful that I have internet. I'm grateful that I have my laptop that I work from anywhere in the world that I want to. It's amazing and I'm grateful. So I started thinking about, what am I grateful for? How am I going to keep this momentum? How am I going to keep my word to myself? And that's what I do. The third thing is examine any unfulfilled commitments that you currently have. So going back to the 2 weeks ago when we did the mini goal setting, and even before that, go back and say, okay, here's what I really wanted to do. When I listened to that Facebook Live and I did that worksheet or that workbook, here's what I wanted to do and I haven't done it. Maybe I overshot. Maybe my goal was too big. Maybe I need to level set. Examine what you have unfulfilled in your commitments and start fresh and get moving. And that way you just one baby step at a time. You know, they didn't build Rome in a day. They built it by one rock and one stone and one brick a day. I don't know. I don't even know what they use, slump block, who knows? All I know is it didn't happen in one day. You guys, love yourself back to action. Keep your word to yourself. We talked about drinking 100 ounces of water, and I do that every day. I keep track of it because it just makes me feel better. With fibromyalgia, I just feel better that way. I'm not in as much pain. And if I find that I'm running low on my water, I feel it. So I go back and I chug a couple glasses and I say, okay, I'm only at 67 glasses. I'm going to need 34 more ounces of water. How is that for quick math? So just get into action. Love yourself back to action. Just decide what you want to do and then do it. Let that little girl inside of you know that it's okay to trust you. You got this. All you have is to depend on yourself. And I don't care if you have a whole family that you lean on or whatever. Truly, at the end of the day, we are responsible for ourselves. So go make it happen. Watch for the workbook that I'll be sending out here shortly, probably in the next couple of days. I've got to have it edited still and formatted, and I will love to hear. I'd love to hear what you guys think. So actually, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm just going to ask, if there's anybody questions, let's have a little quick Q&A. If there's anybody that has anything they want to know, let me know. It says here, I see one gal, she says, I feel that way right now. I'm not sure when you pop that in there, Sharon, but just know that there's hope and that just one new step will get you moving in the right direction. There's that quote I love. It says, 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and that's by Lao Tzu. Oh, it's such a good quote. I love it. It's so true. Can you imagine saying, oh, I'm going to go walk 1,000 miles, not steps, 1,000 miles. And no, but you could say, I'm going to walk a step and then another step. That's all it is. That's all it is. Is there anybody that has any questions? I'm looking here. My inner little girl is mostly curious. When I was younger, I was bullied and afraid to do things. Now she's just plain curious. Oh, I love that, Sandra. Love, love, love it. Let her be curious. Just honor her. Know that she is there and alive and well and wants you to keep your word to herself. What else? Christians are not perfect. Woo-hoo, if that was, yeah. If they were, I wouldn't be one. There's no way. No way. Just so you guys know, we were created imperfect by design. If we were perfect, we wouldn't need anybody, especially God. So there you go. That's my sermon for the moment. Anything else? Hi, Nancy. Better late than never. Don't worry about it. Just this will be a replay, and you can go back and watch it and get the workbook if you like. Anyway, it doesn't look like we have questions. Please, again, I'd really like to. I haven't gotten any feedback on the workbooks, and you guys, I pour hours and hours. All of this is written from my heart and my soul, and I commit to doing it because I want to help, and I want to hear what you think. Let me know what you think. You all have a great day. Have a blessed week, and I look forward to talking to you soon. One thing I do want to mention, I have exactly 2 spots open on my coaching roster. I am capping it at this amount of clients. I've got 2 spots open. I do have 1 client graduating in a few weeks, but that's it. No more one-to-ones until the next group graduates. So if you have any interest in that, let me know. We can hop on a call and talk about it. I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to hard sell you. I don't want to work with anybody like that. I don't ever want to have to push a rope, ever. I raised 5 kids. I'm done with pushing ropes. So let me know if you have any interest. Again, I only have 2 spots left, and I'd love for one of them to be you if it's your time. If you can invest in yourself, time and money. That's how I make my living. But if you can do that and you want to talk to me, again, if it's not a good fit, we'll still be friends. And everything will be groovy. But let me know. God bless you guys. Have a good night.